तो अभी तक हम लोग जो भी पढ़ रहे थे रेलवेज के बारे में अंडर लैंड ट्रांसपोर्टेशन इन आवर चैप्टर ट्रांसपोर्ट एंड कम्युनिकेशन, हम आज उसको थोड़ा प्रैक्टिकल पर्सपेक्टिव से देखेंगे. So today we're going to be discussing this particular topic in railway transportation, and it's transcontinental railways. अब transcontinental railways का जो concept है, that's it's a bit new. It's something that's introduced to class 12 students in their geography books, and but it's an important concept. It's important that you know this because in geography, if resources are something that's important for us, then these transcontinental railways are a means of transporting those resources over very large distances. We'll see why that is so, but even apart from resources, these transcontinental railways are also very important in integrating people from different regions, which is a feature of railways itself. But then these transcontinental railways, जिसको हम कह रहे हैं, they have a far wider reach and their domain is larger than normal railways which run across several kilometers and several miles. तो ट्रांसकॉन्टिनेंटल रेलवेज क्या होता है? सबसे पहले तो it contains the word continental, and that basically implies कि these railways, ये जो railways है, ये पूरा continent cover करते हैं, right? तो मतलब so there's this particular continent, suppose let's say Australia, because Australia is a very simple example to discuss. I also have a map for one of the transcontinental railways that we're going to talk about today, but let's say Australia. So Australia is something. Why Australia? Because it's a good example because it lies in the middle of the sea, and it doesn't have anything around it. So anyway, so Australia का जो transcontinental railway है, so it starts from the west and it ends in the absolute east. It covers the entire Australian continent, right? So that's what transcontinental railways are. They cover the entire left right distance across the entire continent. So that's why these railways are called transcontinental railways. They have a lot of stops in between. बहुत सारे important रेलवे स्टेशन होते हैं जो बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट सेंटर्स होते हैं, ट्रेड के रिस्पेक्टिव में हम देख ले या इकोनॉमी के रिस्पेक्टिव में हम देख ले, तो there are a lot of important centers in the middle of this railway line or in the middle of this rail route, and but it covers the entire continent. So the first thing about transcontinental railways, which is not written here, is that it these railways traverse across continents. मतलब कि पूरा का पूरा कॉन्टिनेंट जो है वो कवर हो जाता है इन ट्रांसकॉन्टिनेंटल रेलवेज की वजह से. So easier to remember would be the left right or the east-west distance, right? So this is the first thing about the transcontinental railways. Now, why these transcontinental railways are important, or why are we studying about them? So the purpose of these transcontinental railways are listed here. Let's discuss them. The first thing is these railways opened up unpopulated interiors to exploration and settlement, otherwise unfeasible. So what this means is जो एक continent के जो interior regions होते हैं, so we know that in a country or in a continent, let's say in a country first of all, again let's say Australia, because it's also a country and including New Zealand and forms a continental place, but anyway, तो ऑस्ट्रेलिया की भी अगर हम बात करें तो if we look at the economics of the country. It's not like even if we talk about India, it's not like, even though it's a very fast growing economy, India, and it's actually the world's fourth largest economy at this point of time. But even then, अगर हम देखेंगे उस ग्रोथ का, अगर हम स्पेशियल वेरिएशन देखेंगे ना, तो these are really important terms in geography: growth, spatial variation. That's a very important term which gets used a lot in geography, spatial variation. तो ये अलग होती है बहुत, मतलब it's not like every part of the country is equally developed or equally modern or equally urbanized. There are some parts of the country that is like very very industrialized, and that is booming in terms of economics. But then again, there are centers, there are regions which are not as developed and which are not as rich, which are rural in nature, and ऐसे जगहों में जो सोर्स ऑफ इनकम होता है वो नॉर्मली एग्रीकल्चर होता है, लाइक प्राइमरी एक्टिविटीज ज्यादा होती है इन जगहों में, लैंड बेस्ड इनकम होता है इनका, मतलब people work directly or indirectly in association with the land over there. So basically it just goes on to say ki, so not every part of a country happens to be modern or developed or of equally developed, right? तो ये जो कॉन्टिनेंटल इंटीरियर्स की हम बात कर रहे हैं, व्हाट इट मीन्स इज कुछ एरियाज ऐसे होते हैं जो थोड़ा रिमोट होता है, थोड़ा रूरल होता है, जहाँ पे ज्यादा पॉपुलेशन नहीं होती है, जो बहुत ज्यादा डेवलप्ड या इंडस्ट्रियलाइज नहीं होता है, तो इट हैज नॉट सीन मच ऑफ डेवलपमेंट. तो ट्रांस कॉन्टिनेंटल रेलवे सिंस ये पूरा कॉन्टिनेंट को क्रॉस करता है, so what it does is it opens up these continental interiors, and since now, because of these continental railways, since now there is connectivity, so even if a particular place is remote in nature, but then it has got now connectivity with other parts which are other nearby areas, other nearby regions which are developed, which are modern, which are developed. Okay, so that means ki the continental railways opened up unpopulated interiors. Unpopulated मतलब वही remote, जहाँ पे ज्यादा लोग नहीं रहते हैं, जहाँ पे जो एरिया बहुत ज्यादा डेवलप नहीं है, unpopulated interiors or interior regions, to exploration and settlement which would have been otherwise infeasible. In the absence of these railways, the exploration of these regions or the settlement in these regions would have been unfeasible. Unfeasible का मतलब क्या होता है? Unfeasible means something which is not feasible, or something which is not it's just too expensive, and it's expensive beyond its worth. So it's not something that you would want to spend your money in. Feasible ऐसा होता है कि जो कि हमारे उसमें इतना ही एक्सपेंडिचर लगता है जितना हम एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं, और जो हमें वैल्यू फॉर आवर मनी देगा, जो हमारा पैसा जो है उसमें लगाएंगे, तो वो it's not a waste. So that's feasible. Now what it means is, in the absence of these railways, the exploration of these regions or the settlement in these regions would have been economically, it wouldn't have been a good idea. It would just be a very very bad idea to come and settle in these unpopulated regions which is remote by nature and which doesn't have connectivity, right? So that's the first purpose of served by transcontinental railways. The second is, it formed the backbone for cross-country passenger and freight transportation. So cross-country here means पूरे country-wide, when if you want to travel anywhere from the west to the east or vice versa. If you want to travel across the country, that's possible. If you want to send huge loads of goods, huge loads of freight from from one extreme corner of the country to the other extreme corner. So now that's also possible, and that the transcontinental railways not only serve this purpose, but they are basically the backbone of this entire process. In the absence of transcontinental railways, it wouldn't have been possible to to move such huge loads of cargo through these long distances. So that's what it means. Transcontinental railways का सीधी सीधी भाषाओं में बस it's like two huge purposes it solves. पहला है कि ये जो है कॉन्टिनेंटल रीजन्स को ओपन अप कर देता है, इंटीरियर जो होते हैं, जो रिमोट एरियाज होते हैं, उसको ओपन अप करता है. तो धीरे धीरे पूरा कंट्री प्रोग्रेस करने लगता है. Since now there is greater connectivity because of these railways. And the second thing is पूरे from one extreme corner of the country or continent to the other extreme corner, now there is huge movement of bulky movement of cargo, and there is a movement of passengers as well through in long distances. So these are the two very vital purposes that are solved by transcontinental railways. In other words, we can also say that these transcontinental railways serve very, very important political and economic purposes. Like, why? Because first of all, it helps the economy. Now let's see how it helps the economy. So as an example, let's say I have a map of Russia over here. इसमें हम पढ़ेंगे ट्रांस-साइबेरियन जो रेलवे है हमारा, which is basically the transcontinental railway line which covers all of Russia, which starts from here and it goes all the way to here. तो इकोनॉमी में ये कैसे हेल्प करता है? Suppose some of these are important. These are important centers for raw materials, and some other railway stations along these routes are probably very, very industrialized. These are full of manufacturing industry. So what you can do is you can actually transport bulks of raw materials to these industrial regions, and तो ये trade में बहुत ज़्यादा help करता है. It helps in growth. It helps in enhancing productivity. It helps in just economically. This is it's very helpful. It actually aggravates the economy is what it does. ठीक है, political reasons क्यों कहते हैं हम? क्योंकि politically भी there is now there is greater connectivity. There's more of more integration of the demographic structure. Population की हम बात करें तो people are now able to travel from one part of the country to the other and anywhere in between. Also now these transcontinental railways, they are not they travel across the entire country. So a lot of times, like we are going to see in case of Russia itself, these also somehow, not always directly, but somehow indirectly, these lead to connecting links with other countries. So that's a political integration thing that we were talking about. So economically, politically, demographically, these transcontinental railways are a huge factor when we talk about transportation, right? So that's all about the introduction of transcontinental railways. So हम directly आते हैं इस map पे. In this map we're going to be looking at the Trans-Siberian Railway, and Trans-Siberian Railway is nothing but another way of saying transcontinental railway route of Russia. Russia का जो So this is a map of Russia, as you can see probably over here. तो रशिया का जो रेलवे रूट है उसको ट्रांस साइबेरियन बोलते हैं. तो in case you have trouble remembering, let me write it down. Trans Siberian रेलवे. तो स्टार्ट करते हैं इसके एंड पॉइंट से. सो द ट्रांस साइबेरियन रेलवे starts from this center or this particular region called Vladivostok, which is in the this is the Pacific Ocean that we have over here, and this is, so it starts from here. This is actually not important. The name of the it's probably not visible, the name of the region, but just so you remember, it's Vladivostok, and it starts from here and it goes all the way to the end of the country, to the end of the Russian Federation, and it ends at this particular station called St. Petersburg. So it's like Vladivostok in the east to St. Petersburg in the west. तो ये पूरा जो है इसको cover करता है. And if you look at the it's actually always a very good idea to refer to maps when studying geography. In geography, it's always imperative that you consider studying with maps, because that always makes the picture more clearer. A good cartographic knowledge is never bad. Okay, so we've started with Vladivostok in the east to St. Petersburg in the west. और रशिया का पोजीशन ऐसा है हमारे वर्ल्ड मैप में, towards this side of the Russian Federation we have the European region, which is very developed economically, and towards the southern side of it, towards the southern or the southeastern side of it, we have the Asian region, right? So Russia kind of falls on common ground here. So and that's important, why we're going to look at later. So anyway, for starters here, it starts at Vladivostok in the east and it ends at St. Petersburg in the west. और इसके बीच में अगर आप देखेंगे तो there are several regions in which I have a few concentrated dots, and these dots are nothing but important stations or important centers that fall along this railway line. So we have Chita over here, we have something called Irkutsk over here, this area of it, we have Novosibirsk, we have Moscow right over here, which is denoted by a red dot. तो ये सारे जो है ये important centers हैं इस railway route में जो पड़ते हैं. तो if you're studying from your book, it's I would recommend you कि book में जितने भी book में भी आपका ये एक map draw किया हुआ है रशिया का. It's not very detailed and it's not a political map, but only the railway route is drawn on it. And you should actually practice. You should buy physical maps of the world or of Russia particularly, but I don't know if Russian one is available. You should buy maps, physical maps of the entire world, and you should practice plotting these continental railway routes across those different countries. So जब आप ये करेंगे, along with the two end stations, what you require to do is you need to plot all these stations along the route. आपको पता होना चाहिए कि बीच में क्या क्या stations आते हैं, वो exactly कहाँ पे होते हैं. आपको ये stations मार्क करने के लिए नहीं दिया जाएगा. आपको एग्जाम में ये नहीं बोला जाएगा कि ये स्टेशन मार्क करो ये इस रेलवे रूट में या ऐसा कुछ. You are going to be asked questions about particularly about these stations. You're probably going to have to identify. आपको ये स्टेशन मार्क करके दिया हुआ रहेगा, तो आपको आइडेंटिफाई करना होगा कि ये कौन सा स्टेशन है, और आपको शायद से स्टेशन के बारे में कोई ना कोई इंफॉर्मेशन दिया हुआ रहेगा, राइट. सो जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल वी नो दैट the end point for the Trans-Siberian railway line is over here at St. Petersburg. So suppose they point this out and they say that this is the this is one of the end railway stations, and so you need to identify it. तो आपको तुरंत पता होना चाहिए कि this is to the west, on the west end of it there's always St. Petersburg. उसके नीचे भी अगर आप देखेंगे there's Moscow, और मॉस्को एक ऐसी जगह है जहाँ से बहुत सारे छोटे बड़े रेलवे लाइन जो है वो ओरिजिनेट करते हैं. रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट जो है वो भी बहुत ज्यादा डेंस है इस एरिया में. सो अगेन दिस इज अनदर इम्पोर्टेंट सेंटर बिकॉज इट्स द कैपिटल ऑफ रशिया. तो हम पढ़ेंगे इनमें से कुछ कुछ के बारे में, बट it's very mandatory that you learn these stations whatever comes in between of every transcontinental railway line that we're going to study. आपको stations जो है बीच बीच के वो याद रखने हैं. तो अभी हम आगे देखते हैं हमारे मैप के बारे में. So the Trans-Siberian Railway is the most important railway route in Asia. तो एशिया का जो है ये रशियन जो ट्रांसकॉन्टिनेंटल रेलवे लाइन है वो एशिया का सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट तो है ही, बट इट इज ऑल्सो द लॉन्गेस्ट डबल ट्रैक्ड एंड इलेक्ट्रिफाइड ट्रांसकॉन्टिनेंटल रेलवे इन द वर्ल्ड, which is really not very surprising. But anyway, its total length is 9335 kilometers. This total length of the railway line is 9335 kilometers, and at such a huge length, this continental railway stands to be the longest. So it's the longest double track. Double track means it's so you can go from east to west and you can come back from west to east. That's what it means by double track. मतलब दोनों directions में जाने आने का you have the railway route for both the directions. You can travel from here to there and you can travel from there to here as well. It's not like you can just travel in one direction. So it's double tracked and electrified transcontinental railway in the world. Remember how long it is. It is 9335 kilometers. The third point about this railway line is it opened up Asian countries to West European markets. तो जैसा कि मैं आपको बता रही थी, इस रशिया के वेस्टर्न साइड में we have the European regions which are very developed, and we have the on the south or southeastern side of it we have the Asian countries. So the transcontinental railway line actually, so because Asia is connected to this part of Russia and Europe is connected to the other part of Russia, so excuse me, तो जो है हम एशियन कंट्रीज और यूरोपियन कंट्रीज के बीच में ट्रेड जो है वो भी इस ट्रांसकॉन्टिनेंटल रेलवे की वजह से फैसिलिटेट हो पाता है, because whatever cargo needs to be transported, it can go via the ocean route. There's one way through the ocean route, and then there's another way through this Trans-Siberian Railway, which happens to be far cheaper, because there you would have to actually do these things through ship movement. But here it's a railway line and you can actually have good movement of cargo through through this railway line, through the Trans-Siberian Railway line. So it connects Asian and European markets. So now whatever is produced in the Asian countries can be sold, and this increases trade, which is very beneficial for the Asian countries. So there is that. कुछ हम इसके important centers के बारे में पढ़ेंगे. First of all, Chita, which I talked about, is an important agro center. So Chita, the railway station, falls over here. This is the one. So this one here is an important agro center, and agro का मतलब agricultural center, मतलब यहाँ पे agricultural productivity बहुत अच्छी है इस जगह की. So why this is important? Because again, तो अगर ये important agricultural center है तो यहाँ का जो agricultural output है, now this can be this produce can be loaded into trains in huge bulky amounts, and it can be transported to other areas which are other manufacturing centers along the line. So here this one is an important agro center. Irkutsk is a forest center. Irkutsk falls somewhere over here. This is the one. So this again is an important fur center. Again, it has an important raw material which is fur. Here the important raw material was agriculture. तो basically ये बता रहा है कि ये different रॉ मटेरियल्स जो है वो अवेलेबल है इन स्टेशंस पे, एंड दीज आर इम्पोर्टेंट. आपको ये सारी चीजें याद रखनी है. द मोर यू कैन रिमेंबर अबाउट द about the important centers that fall along these railway routes, not just to the Trans-Siberian, of every transcontinental railway route that we study, the better it is for you during the exam. Okay, so and the last point about the Trans-Siberian railway line is that it has connecting links to Odessa in Ukraine, Tashkent in Uzbekistan, Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia, and Beijing in China. तो जैसा कि मैं आपको बता रही थी, so this is not, it may be operational in only in the country itself, but somehow it has connecting links to nearby countries. Like यहाँ पे जो countries है उनके साथ it has railway links. We have China over here, we have Mongolia over here. This is Mongolia, the purple one. So it says कि so these also it would be good for you, even though these have less probability of coming in the exams because हमारे लिए सिर्फ Russian वाला important है. But what it means is ये दूसरे countries में भी there are some connecting links through which transportation can be done across countries. It doesn't just have to be limited to Russia. It can go across countries. And कौन से countries में है? We have a center at Odessa, which is in the country Ukraine. We have Tashkent, which is in Uzbekistan. We have Ulaanbaatar, which is in Mongolia, and we have Beijing, which is in China.